first to the floor here.
First to the floor podcast. Shout out to Australia.
Jordan Crawford, nice move with the dribble.
Here's driving on Stoudemire. The jumper, yes!
What a diving save by the guard.
Yeah! Boston wins! Tatum drives down and throws it down!
You guys are talking about a dynasty. Here's where it is, right here.
That's enough for the tie.
Oh, yeah. The best team in the world right now.
Marcus Smart at the bottom.
Shireman in the deck.
What is up? First the floor. I'm Jake Eisenberg with my boy Wayne Spooney, and it's been a little while. Dan Greenberg, Greenie of Barstool Sports is here, and thank the Lords that Summer League is here because I think everybody needed a little bit of a soul cleanser.
Yeah,
Greenie, how are you?
I was gonna say have we spoken since the 3-1 debacle? I think we talked as soon as they went up 3-1 or something like that.
I think we may have spoken after Game 5.
Yeah,
and we were like, this is bad. This is bad.
It got worse. Could you believe it?
It got
worse. Quite a bit.
It got worse.
It's yet to get better, really, I think.
Well, I mean, that depends. I mean, we're undefeated since the Jaylen Brown trade. So
That's true.
There are ways to
82-0.
convince your brain. So.
Yeah. So I think we'll get into the overall vibes and state of the union and from Greenie's perspective on the Jaylen stuff and everything. But I think it'd be nice just for everybody if we talk about some actual basketball because the last 10 days has been
hell,
complete. Yeah. Cesspool on the internet. And we've definitely been a little more positive than most. But yesterday we have a new big three emerging. Ugo Gonzalez, Chris Senak, Amari Williams. I don't know. Greenie, what was the vibe inside the Cox Pavilion?
Well, the first half, it was like, I'm not even sure I'm watching basketball, given it was just one of those, you always know Summer League is going to go through some rough stretches of play and that it's so guard oriented. If you have no ball handlers and no guards, things are going to get even worse for stretches. And that is what, I mean, they were 7 of 45 in the first half or something like in the building. It almost felt like the fourth quarter of Game 5 when they missed 14 consecutive shots. You're just almost surprised that no one's making a shot by accident. Like there's no fast break layup. There's no shot that just sort of rolls around and drops. But in terms of what I think we all wanted to see from the main guys who were here last summer and then the two rookies, it pretty much checked off every single box and then some to give you enough propaganda to really lube yourself up for the fun that is Summer League. But it was the second half energy when it actually looked like basketball was much better. The first was more relief that they weren't down 30 because they went 10 minutes without not turning the ball over, it seemed like. And
they went 7 for 45 from the field.
Yeah, and it's just one of those, you have to remind yourself, they just didn't have a guard. They just don't have real guards and real point guard play. So things were a little disorganized, but you have to go undefeated if you want to make the playoffs. So at least they started undefeated and now we go to Game 2.
Yeah, I will. It was one of the worst fun games I've ever watched. I think at one point they had 6 turnovers and 2 buckets. So
and they started.
And it was 5 minutes into the game too.
What were they saying on TV? Were they even talking about how it was the worst start in the history of basketball?
Dude. Yes,
yes, they were 17 consecutive misses, I think, for the Celtics at one point.
Yeah, it was Doris Burke. So she was not only talking about how bad the game was, how bad we were playing. She was also talking about Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
over and over again. Yeah, so
it was
pretty painful in that first half. But I will say, dude, once Uzan came in, and I think he's going to have to start the next game. He looked like he could at least organize the offense, and it wasn't just please, Ugo, do something with the ball in your hands. Otherwise, nothing's happening. So Uzan, I think, to your point, Greenie, that like guards are so important in summer league. When we were trying to roll with Jones, who just does not look like a guy. Uzan just, at least to me, brought some calm, brought some steadiness, got us into some sets, got us into stuff. Also allowed Ugo to kind of operate as a secondary handler.
Yep, and I feel like his turnovers were low too, right? At a time where no one could take care of the ball, I feel like
he had none.
Okay, so that matched what you could just feel that, at least from a turnover standpoint, you didn't have to worry about him just giving the ball over as soon as he crossed half court.
Yeah, game high plus 17 too.
Okay, yeah. That tracks based on how it felt, you know, in that second half.
Yeah, it was peak summer league. Like the 7 for 45, the 17 missed shots. They're like, do the Celtics have anyone that dribble on the? And yeah, Uzan was a welcome sight. Can we get number 43 off the team?
Is that the white dude? So I looked him up.
Magus.
I looked because he like looks like me, and that's not great.
Not good.
If you're like, that's not good. And so I looked him. I'm like, where did he? And he was on the Spurs G League team. I think I saw.
Yeah.
Most recently,
I'm assuming the whole time, can shoot.
I don't know, man. Like, I was racially profiling him as a shooter, and I'm not sure that he is actually going to be able to make an open jumper. That was tough. I remember there was a possession where it was like a defensive rebound, and he let the ball hit the floor right in front of him. And Emil Jefferson immediately pulls a Missoula and rages, and he yanks him. I think he put back in Ugo or somebody else. Yeah. It was like, all right, man, if you're not going to knock down your open jumpers as the white shooter, you sure as hell can't give up easy offensive rebounds and still stay on the floor. So I'm not expecting much from really any of the no-name guys the rest of the week. It was not a great showing from him.
But yeah, maybe let's start with Ugo, because of all the guys on this summer league team, he obviously played over 1,000 minutes for the Celtics last season, and I think has a chance to push that number into like 1,500 plus. Just despite him being, I mean, he saw Jason Tatum in the stands and said, Let me show you how to do a real Jason Tatum game. 3 for 16, 10 boards, 8 assists, a +6. Now the shot, he started with a beautiful fading
corner three
make in the corner. He, to be fair to Hugo, and this is the ultimate summer league code, there were 3 threes that went in and out. And
you get 1.5 points. You get 1.5 summer league points.
I'm with it.
Exactly. And so instead of 1 for 9, could he have been 4 for 9 really easily? Yes. Yeah. I thought that the shooting, obviously you want that to be better. The 3 for 16's tough, but he is being asked to be the lead ball handler initiator, and he's not really ready for that. That being said, the 2-man game with Amari Williams, the playmaking, the bully ball getting downhill, because he last season was pre-programmed to do the Euro step.
And he was addicted to it.
Addicted to the Euro step. And last night it was like, just get downhill and just truck stick. And it got him to the line a ton. I thought the overall Ugo package was beautiful. I don't really care about the volume scoring because like he's not going to do any of that in the regular season.
So there were a couple noticeable. I mean, I was probably 3 rows back from the sideline. So what I like about sitting there and why I love Cox Pavilion is you get such a better feel for sort of how the players are reacting and sort of what is more so the game within the game. And I remember his first year, whenever the refs would screw him or he would make a mistake, you could see him physically like hate himself.
He's so upset every time.
He's so upset. And so this year, after going through a year in the league and obviously, growing and being more confident and just learning how to hone that competitive spirit, there was not, I mean, you could see he was arguing or like getting in the ref's ear, but on turnovers or mistakes or missed shots, he was no longer like punching himself in the face that he would do when he would make these mistakes. So that was noticeable. The second part was yes, he was addicted to the Euro step. And I think the growth that we saw last night, which is encouraging if he's going to be such a pick and roll on ball creator, is he's now keeping his eyes and head up and can pass off the Euro step. You'll remember late in that second half, he had the dish to Amari in the final couple minutes coming off a Euro step. Before, in year one, it was the Euro, and then this is going up as a contested layup, hell or high water. And that's why it kept getting blocked. Teams could read it. It was a very predictable move. Now, I feel confident in his ability to make a pass off that move. Or now when he gets into the paint, he's not just one-track minded to go to the rim. Now he's able to find and read rollers or guys that are in the dunker. He had that one beautiful wraparound pass coming off, I believe was a pick and roll from the wing. And that's what I want to see from Ugo this summer, right? Year one was about spot up shooting and crashing the glass. This year, I want to see stuff. Let's play just like that.
Oh, this is sexy.
Run him more off pick and roll. I just want to see, because if he can add an element of creation to his game at his size, I think that does such a wonder for raising his ceiling as a player to be just more of a catch and shoot, high energy, offensive rebounder. The creation, he ranked in the 7th percentile last year in pick and roll. Like, that is not great. It was small volume, but it's like, to me, Summer League is the time where you give them something they may not have done before and see how they handle it. When they did that for Walsh, when they were like, okay, Walsh, go be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown from a self-creation standpoint, he really struggled with it. Then he got back into his normal role and he thrived. With Ugo, the fact that he didn't sink immediately with this added responsibility is because the ball pressure was there all night. The Raptors, that's like their system. They get right into your airspace, and I feel like he handled the ball pressure, the ball handling. Can get better, but didn't completely melt when guys were in his airspace. So for me, I'm with you. Like, I don't care about the 3 of 16. I care about that he looked like someone who could one day be an actual on-ball creator, and that is pretty exciting. That's why you don't trade him for Giannis.
Exactly. Yeah. We already won that trade, or not trade. Chucky Hepburn was pissing me off. He was grabbing handfuls of jerseys all night long. Right, and the refs did not call it a single time. So I love that Ugo was kind of playing through contact, getting into the lane over and over again. And I think the most important thing is that he was creating paint touches for himself regularly, which is, I think Walsh's issue was always that he couldn't really get himself all the way to the lane. He could get bumped off his spot a lot easier than Ugo can. Just he's a little thinner, he's quicker, but and like he just is absurdly confident too. Like Ugo believes he's going to be one of the best players in the NBA, and I think that's a necessary attribute for a guy who has some like legitimate potential. And what I always loved about Ugo, other than how hard he's played, is he had real feel. Came up through, Real Madrid. He's been playing professional basketball since he was like 16 years old. And you can just tell, like, he understands spacing. He understands he needs to make quick decisions. And some of the delays and counters he had with Amari would like flip the screen, and then Ugo would get into the crossover right as the screen flipped. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is some high level, like, pick and roll operation here. So look, if he goes 3 of 9 from 3, you know what I mean? All of a sudden he's 6 of 16, not great, but he's at like 23 points. And the shooting percentage is like just a little bit more palatable. And then it's like this monster game. So I don't give a shit about the misses at all.
No, especially like, I think we all remember the time where Sam Hauser couldn't make a summer league jumper to save his life.
Right.
Like, those are the things that I don't really care about. It's more like, you just know it when you see it, right? And I was sitting next to a guy who didn't really know who Ugo was, or who anything about the backstory. And he goes, how old is number 28? I was like, I think he's like 20 years old. Maybe he's still 19. I'm not sure when his birthday is.
A lot of 19-year-olds on the Celtics.
Yeah. And he goes, how come he's the only one who like looks like he knows what he's doing and isn't like sped up? I'm like, well, he's basically been a pro since he was 10 years old. So he goes, oh, he's that. And then I told him, his backstory. And he's like, you can tell that he plays like a professional. And I think that speaks exactly like he wasn't sped up. And obviously playing real NBA minutes against real team. Like he played against OKC. He played against he didn't just play
guard a cat.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the type of thing where it's sort of like you're speed racing his development because, you play in what was supposed to be the transition year, of development. You got that from Ugo because I don't know if he plays 3 summer league games. I think he gets the early shutdown. I think he's going to get the early. He's going to be too good. I think he's going to get the early shutdown if he has another strong game in game 2 because they're going to be like,
that'd be so sad
because he's still like driving hard. He's still hitting the floor. You're almost like, Ugo, we have to save you from yourself at this point.
No, we don't.
And I just feel like it's coming. If he has another strong pick, it's kind of like when Jaden Springer, I think, played 1 or 2 games last year, and then they shut him down.
Yeah, that's because he was doing all the things that he was never going to do in the regular
I hope
season.
it doesn't happen, but that's
player.
But that's as I was watching him, that's what I'm like. Him and Amari might get the early shutdown if they keep playing at this pace.
If we lose Ugo and in this summer league team, it really just takes this summer league team is like teetering on not fun. Like Ugo makes it so fun.
Yeah.
And if you lose Ugo, it's like, oh boy, this is gonna get.
I'm just telling you, be from the building. Just be prepared. He looked that good,
And I'll say, Sanak and Amari need Ugo to look good themselves, right? Because if he's gone, then there's just like nothing to get.
I know
them
because
the
you're
ball,
already
and it's
so
going to make
guard
them
dependent.
look so bad. Yeah, so
I know.
It really does all hinge on Ugo. So to your best ability while you're there, Greenie, you definitely need to just be dropping ears. Like get up to Emil, get close to him. Like this guy's gonna play. Look
I still think he needs some work in the pick and roll. Yeah,
yeah.
I hope so.
Quickly, we'll hit prize picks and then we'll keep salivating over our boy Ugo. It's scorching sports summer, and you can make all your picks on prize picks. The WNBA and baseball are heating up, and every game in soccer's biggest tournament is getting more important as it's currently Norway versus England in extra time with big tennis slams and major golf tournaments on the horizon. There's no better place for all your summer sports picks than Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Don't worry if you missed out on Joey Chestnut doing it one more time. The true GOAT of our generation. The World Cup is still here. We've got a few more games left on that one. Argentina, Switzerland later today. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app. All right. Oh, Greenie, you got one for us?
Of what, a pick or just?
Sorry, Spoony. I looked at Spoony and I said Greenie.
I do have one for us. AJ Debansa plays Sacramento tomorrow night, 8 p.m. More 22.5 points. Kingston Flemings starts in 40 minutes, so you better get it in while you're listening live. More 14.5 points. I love Kingston Flemings. I think he's looked really, the scoring hasn't totally been there, but he's looked really, really good, just totally in control every time he's on the court. And Morez Johnson had a huge scoring game, which is not really his game. So we're going less 17.5 points for Morez in his second summer league game. $20 to win 120 on Prize Picks.
Beautiful. All right. There was a comment earlier about like, when are you going to talk about Ugo's shot? And I know it's the classic summer league cope is to be like making shots doesn't matter, but it actually doesn't because AJ Debansa goes 7 for 18, 0 for 5 from 3, and Darren Peterson also goes 6 for 18. Like it really doesn't matter.
To be fair, like mechanically, he's still getting great arc on his shot. Like things look good. So I can't bring myself. I've been to too many of these things. We've all been through the summer league grind too many times and we've seen him shoot 38, 39% at the NBA level, like on low volume ish. I can't bring myself to be concerned about it, especially when that player is now adopting such a heavier on ball role like that. You have to get used to. That's what we all said about Derek White, right? Like, because he has to do so much more offensively, now he can't shoot. So I just look at it as,
exactly.
the same thing.
And I'll say I saw someone did like a mathematical regression model of which stats translate from the summer league to the NBA. 3-point percentage was like one of the lowest ones, right? And true shooting as well. Whereas that goes both directions. Whereas like I think offensive rebound percentage, assist to turnover were some of the stickiest ones. And I think talking about rebounding, Chris Sinak looked pretty fucking good, guys. He looked pretty damn good. 5 and 5 offensive and defensive rebounds, like the fluidity and movement. They were protecting Amari Williams in the pick and roll and pre-switching pick and rolls to get Sinak in the pick and roll to defend. You're picking one of your big man to be in the pick and roll to switch is like very high praise for a dude who's extremely young, extremely inexperienced. So I love the Sinak pick. I think he just has ridiculous tools and has a chance to be a really good player. I think he could be a contributor like almost immediately, just doing kind of the simple stuff. And we saw all of it. Plus, big time Sam Cassell nut stance shot.
Oh, baby!
Overtime.
So we'll talk about that. That happened literally right in front of me. So we'll touch on that. But I will say this: the biggest surprise was his rim protection. 4 blocks.
4 blocks.
That was the big thing, right? At Houston, he never really blocked shots, but he was this tremendous athlete.
He averaged half a block in college. And
right. So I think the hope was you get him in an environment that you can actually unleash that skill set, that the rim protection would show up right away. It did. I think we're seeing right away the tenacity on the offensive glass to kind of like Ugo of like, I'll kill myself if it means getting this, like that dunk, the putback attempt where he basically dunked over.
I was going to say, actually almost killed Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah. But they were just also like, he looks like a guy who can be a possession extender. And I'm sure we'll talk about it, but the new motto of the Boston Celtics is we are maximizing every possession known to man. So in that regard, Spoonie, I do think it's like, he's a little thin. He may get pushed around a little bit until he can get through the NBA weight program. Like Amari now looks like an absolute
holy shit.
So it's like, he'll develop that. But in the meantime, he kind of feels like he has the ball energy, attraction, skill that like Mitchell Robinson has, where like he's just gonna be involved and around the ball and around the rim. He'll tap it. He'll just help generate possessions. And I think that is now the name of the game in the NBA moving forward. So the game tying shot aside, everything else we saw from him, I think, is what we all wanted to as his debut, as a rookie.
Dude, I mean, how do you not be tantalized by what you've seen so far? Because as a fan of a team that enjoyed the services of Al Horford and understand the impact of a big man that can switch, protect the rim, and shoot threes, because Sinak hit two huge fourth quarter threes, one of them to send the game to OT. The shot looks really good to me. And like if the fact that he's 19, Tatum, Ugo, and Sinak, all 19 years old.
Yep.
Crazy.
It's incredible.
Team. to have the floor of his shot be where it is right now, as a dude that's 6'10 plus with a 7'5" wingspan, that jumped off the screen. The length, the athleticism, and the motor jumped off the screen. It was a roller coaster in the most summer league way. Like in that fourth quarter, hits the first big 3, and then it's like bad offensive foul on a screen, bad turnover, the Raptors score, another offensive foul on a screen. But then he has a block to finish, shot clock violation, misses a clutch 3, but then baseline drive for 2, and then hits the big 3. So it was everywhere, and that's what you expect. But when you talk about like kind of like streamlining his role, it's protect the rim, ask him to do some switching, rebound, and shoot open threes. Right. And the Diabate thing, that's I think going to be his early. I don't know how much he's going to play this rookie year. It's probably going to be.
Well, remember, there's a strong possibility Robinson misses games, and it's like I think when I think of last year, I think while it was happening, we were all looking at that season of like, this is confirmation that Jaylen Brown can lead a team, can be a number one, that, everything that we envisioned of him, he's doing. They're not, they're still winning. But really what it was a confirmation of their approach. That the way that they play around a singular star can win at a high level. So almost it's like, and that even sort of bleeds into the big rotation, right? Like last year showed us you can play these limited or flawed bigs if they're just monsters on the offensive glass and if they can hit an open three in Luka Garza's case, right? So I think where last year never happened, I'd say there's no way this guy even sees, 10 minutes the whole season. But now that they've sort of confirmed their approach, I think they're probably going to want to be smart about the load that Mitchell Robinson will play. I think if he continues to have a strong summer and then he backs that up with a strong preseason, you could see that like Luka Garza role in spots where Robinson's out or getting a rest day.
Yeah, well, Spoonie, who do you see having a better chance of getting minutes? Because we're talking about Sinak right now, but Amari Williams, I mean, the wing pipeline has bore many fruits already between Shireman, Ugo, Walsh for last season, Ron Harper Jr., and the big pipeline started with Cater and turned into a beautiful watermelon. And now we've got Amari Williams, who I didn't love a ton of what I saw last year. There were flashes, and again, some roller coaster moments for him yesterday. But the passing, some of the touch on the finishes from Ugo's
little floater,
the floater was really nice. Protected the rim, and he collected 13 boards, 4 of which were offensive as well. And size wise, he does jump off the screen. So how do you see that potentially playing out?
Yeah, so I was going to bring this up. I'm glad John Krager in the chat brought it up. Like, Sinak's screens are not good, and I think he is not going to play. His only potential way he will play is if he can set a decent screen, and Amari's way ahead of him and just a bigger dude, so it's a lot easier to set screens. So I think the problem is like there's really only going to be minutes for one of these guys. So, if you're a betting man, it's probably Amari. He's 24. He's much older. He's already been in the system for a year. But I think it's important to remember Sinak is not your normal 27th pick. He's not a 4-year college guy. He was like a top 10 recruit, super, super highly regarded. Like if he goes to like a lower end Division I school where he's got the ball in his hands and he's like, trying to create off the dribble, like maybe he looks like a potential superstar or a future superstar or something like that. But he goes to Houston where he's asked to play a role, which makes sense because that's probably more likely what his future is going to be. But I just think the upside with Sinak is so much higher that does it make more sense to take your lumps with him early and see what he kind of blossoms into? Whereas I think Amari's the safer play. My concern with Amari was always his ability to like make decisions and finish off the pick and roll. And he was really, really good at that last night. So if that's a real thing, I think the rim protection will be fine. I think we can protect him in the pick and roll. We're really good at that now. Hell, we protected Luka Garza in the pick and roll for a full season.
Right.
So
they still had a top, 3 or 4 defense with him playing heavy rotation minutes. Like,
yeah, exactly. And look, the passing is just a very, very unique thing that Sinak does not give you. So again, I think Amari is in the lead right now. But I suspect one of these guys is going to kind of do what Ugo did and get like about 1,000 minutes, 6, 7, 8,000 ish right in there.
And you don't know. You also have to, I don't know how much it will factor in, but he is on the 2-way. So he has a limit in terms of his appearances. So maybe they're more strategic with when Amari plays because they don't just want to burn games because now they have this other option. But I don't know. I mean, I just think it'll be whoever earns, if Amari comes in and guys are getting offensive rebounds and he's not doing his thing, Joe will pull him. I think that's what last year told us. Like, if you're not cutting it and you're not executing your role, Missoula's not going to be afraid to just pull you out, and somebody else will come in because they've built this. They're like a machine. It's like the areas that they're focused on are not like, man, this is Jason Tatum's shot creation. He's the only player on the world that can do that. Like, if you crash the glass, you're gonna play. If you end defensive possessions with a rebound, you'll stay on the floor. Like, anybody can do those things if you are committed to it. So I think that's how these two earn their minutes. Just do whatever Missoula says and you will play.
Yeah, and it's a good point from Z Gamer in the chat is that he probably has maybe a better path to more minutes just because you could play him at the 4 too. As we saw in his Houston tape, and as Spoonie's saying now, getting him into switches, you could throw him at the 4 and you're kind of comfortable with him defending on the perimeter. I'm not sure how much he's going to get guarded from the 3-point line, but that allows him to then take advantage of his offensive rebounding skill. And it's like, if he can defend and rebound on both ends, that's probably enough. That's how Ugo got on the court, essentially. Even though he shot well from 3, he was shot like
low volume.
Low volume. Right? So, like, I would say that Senak's probably a more willing shooter than Ugo. I mean, obviously, last night notwithstanding. So I think Senak, from being able to play the 4 and the 5, maybe that gives, and being just having the full-time contract, you probably lean that way as far as who gets more minutes.
So let me ask you both. Have we finally found the 10-year search of the Al Horford replacement?
Well, that's definitely the ceiling.
Yeah. Is this it? Do we have the seedling of the Al Horford replacement?
I think
so. Steven in the Discord last night was like, are we looking at 2011 Chris Bosh, maybe?
Okay.
Like, because the way that he shoots a little bit, like the low end, I don't know. The more reasonable version is like the way that Jabari Smith Jr. kind of plays on offense. Like, it's kind of
I just mean like the stretch 4 who can switch, who can make an open 3.
That's the ceiling. I started it this way. I'm like, hey, if you can defend rim, switch, and shoot threes, there's nothing more valuable in the playoffs. That's how you win in the playoffs, is being able to have that level of two-way versatility.
If we can just give him like 35% of Amari Williams' passing vision.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I think we are looking eventually. Like, he doesn't need to be the whole thing. Just give him like a little nibble of the Amari Williams vision, and I think you have something serious.
Like, how many dudes are in the league that can switch, protect the rim, and shoot threes?
There's like none of them. Basically.
Wemby.
Well, even
even he doesn't really switch.
That's why Horford was so underrated for so long. It's like he's not the best rim protector in the NBA. He's not the best big man shooter in the NBA, but he's not the best switch guy. But you want to scale, like, grade him on all 3 of those things. He's like only just behind Bam in switching. And like protecting the rim was probably like his lowest of those string. But then
for sure,
shooting threes, it was like that group of guys at the top, like Towns and Porzingis. He was right behind them in that next group and ahead of everybody else.
Ahead of Miles Turner, for sure.
Yeah. Way better than Miles Turner by the end of his kind of Celtics tenure. So yeah, the vision, the ceiling is like a playoff.
And he's got Alex Sarr game.
Well, hold on a second.
Same idea.
Do we also have to consider that he might also have the clutch gene?
That's true. Clearly. I mean, there's no considering.
I'm just saying, Al Horford had the clutch gene. Like, we saw him, the corner 3 in game whatever that was against the Pacers. That's what the corner 3 last night was in summer league.
Yeah, bigger stakes last night, though.
Exactly. So I'm just saying,
Greenie was in the building.
If we're looking for seedlings, I'm planting a clutch gene seedling into the soil. Like,
all right,
we're seeing it.
He's got the bronze badge.
Right.
There we go.
Entry level. Yeah.
And NC Allen in the chat makes a good point. Yeah, it needs to figure out how to set legal moving screens.
Well, you get that with NBA veteran status. Like, once you're a veteran, they just let you illegally screen.
Do whatever.
Hey, Draymond's
so he'll need at least 3 years of service time before he gets that. Yeah.
Amari was great, though. Amari was fucking great for the most part. And I'm not the biggest Amari fan. Like, the way he moves defensively scares me. But our ability, like the fact that we were pre-switching him out of pick and rolls in summer league is like great. We know how to protect him, but also like shit, we don't trust him to defend like a Chucky Hepburn pick and roll. Like, is that a bad thing, or are they just giving Sinak practice and doing that? Because that will be something that makes him a unique player. But the rim protection was really good. And I think if you can protect the rim with the passing and set good screens, like, I mean, dude, that's an NBA player.
So we were talking about this in the Discord because we have Nick NBA and Greenie, who is not to be confused with the Greenie on this podcast. But the two biggest, Amari Williams stands out there, and they both see like a good outcome for him being a high level backup. And it's funny to look at it from that. It's funny to look at it from that lens when someone's so excited about that type of player. But my point to that is like, look at how valuable backup big men have become. Like they are a highly valued commodity. Big men in general. You see Walker Kessler, like Luke Cornett, as much as we love him, struggled in the finals. And it's like, can you have a big man that both starts and comes off the bench, a la Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns, for 48 minutes? Can you have a dude on the court that is able to impact the game at a high level, at the highest points in the playoffs? It's really rare to find a team that has able to play those 48 minutes. And if Amari is able to turn into a guy, it's like, okay, we can run some drop, we can have guys coming over screens, and he's collecting rebounds, and then the passing is real.
I'm just so addicted to the passing. The passing is so intoxicating.
Can we turn the spice it down meter a little bit?
Yeah, like Marcus Smart. Like, come on, just
like the no look out of bounds. Like, did we need it to be? Could you just look and pass it into his hands?
I'm pushing back. I say embrace your inner Jokic. Like I just think this is the time to try all that stuff. Like, yes, if he's doing that in a regular season game, he'll probably be in some trouble. But I'm so intrigued by we haven't had sort of that point center option since Rob, right? Or really, Porzingis did it a little bit, but just what it'll do for the offense to just have
Al.
But like, they didn't really use him as like a top of the arc hub like they did with Rob.
The first time we did, but when he came back, we didn't know.
So that
17 to 19 range,
just having
that Celtics 1.0.
Okay, so later something, but like just having that as an option one day, especially in lineups where the offense, like, they may never score a point if it's a bench lineup. So to be able to use him as a way to, especially with like guys like Dylan Mitchell cutting, Ugo cutting, like there's just easier ways to generate baskets with a big that can pass from the top of the arc. And I want to see every time he's on the floor, I'm like, he needs to just touch the ball and run sets that way, because it's just like, he's just showing you the cross court look where Ugo smoked that corner jumper was like, that's a high level NBA caliber pass, in my opinion. Yeah. And he's just making them naturally, which is exciting.
I would like to see it with the talent of the starters. Like, and it's a push and pull, right? Because you don't want to overdo the minutes and sacrifice just like winning games. But I would like to see what the passing is able to. Like, can you unlock his passing when he's surrounded by Tatum and Derek and Pritchard and Hauser, real shooters, high IQ guys that are cutting, moving. That's why him and Ugo are a good fit. Because man, the way that Ugo cuts off the ball, and that's why I think their two-man game worked really well last night. Both of them have good feel for spacing. So yeah, I'm definitely tantalized by it. On the big man room is becoming quite fun. Like Trey on Twitter, we got Nemius Cater, Portuguese Gobert. Mitch is our Republican Steven Adams with Horford switch defense ability. You've got Amari Williams, who is the British Black Jokic. And then we've covered that Sinak is basically athletic Al Horford that's better at rebounding but worse at passing. So I don't know. Things are looking up.
You could be worse, right? I remember the Semi Erden years. Like, you could be worse. Like, let's not forget.
I remember
And I will
defending
say-
Tyler Zeller. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like,
Like-
Tyler Zeller was untradeable once upon a time,
Yeah,
you know?
him and
So-
Sully. Come on.
Yeah.
And I will say you won't get to play all of your minutes against Nate Biddle, other tall white guy on the
He kind
Toronto
of hoops.
Raptors.
I don't know.
I'll tell
I
you
mean-
what, the 7'5" dude though,
That guy though, he was
he's
sharp.
like G League, he's like G League Wemby. Like
that
that
Jamarian Sharp, was it?
and that's sort of where you saw some of Sinak's, you know, rawness offensively of he
Gotcha.
had him like that dude had Sinak in hell just with his length and his, you know, shot blocking ability. I'm almost kind of like, what's our main situation? Can we get this guy just as like a deep system seven? If everyone needs a Wemby stopper, like give me another 7'5" guy. He was surprisingly effective.
Yeah. So he did much better defensively, I thought, than Nate Biddle. Yeah. Look, I would have liked to see what it looked like with Colomaro Boyles out there, but we didn't get to see him. All right, who's
But
next?
you know what? Having to that point,
Yeah.
you would. I think it's a good sign that against that type of front court that they dominated and looked as good, right? It would have been concerning if you were like you couldn't even beat this like 35 balding-year-old looking dude who like shouldn't even be on the floor. But instead, it was the opposite. So at least while we don't know what that'll look like against the CMBs of the world, at least we can say, hey, they didn't look bad against terrible competition, which is a positive.
So, well, we got two choices, Spoonie, unless you want to add something else before we.
I was going to say we should talk about Dylan Mitchell next.
I was going to say I was going to go. You got two options. You got the Dylan Mitchell or Celtics legend John Tonji continuing to turn up in big moments. So
I think
choose your path.
Mitchell is more interesting. He was also way worse in this game.
Way worse.
Look, you saw some of what makes Mitchell an interesting prospect. Like some of the defensive possessions are just fucking bananas. Like he's just everywhere. But the lack of it's not that he's not a good shooter or an unwilling shooter. He has no jumper at all. Negative. So all of his off the bounce athleticism, and he's got a pretty good handle for his size, and the passing is like a plus skill for him. It just doesn't matter because defenders just don't care, and they just cut off all of his angles, and he can't do anything. And it's compounded on this roster because he's playing with Amari Williams, Sinak, and Ugo, and then it's and a random guard. So if you surround him with four shooters, I do think he could be really, really interesting, like what the Nets used to do with Bruce Brown. But are you gonna compile lineups to get the best out of Dylan Mitchell? Doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. So he's fun, he's super exciting. The athleticism and defense is crazy, but man, it's tough for me to see his path to minutes.
Yeah, it was just so apparent how devastating it is when you have zero threat offensively. Even at this level against defenders that probably won't even sniff the G League. He's not creating any advantages. He's not even, like you said, he's not even looking for his jumper. And I would say seeing him up close, he's really skinny. He's if I'm envisioning him going up against bigger, stronger, faster wings, he was still getting beat based to the spot baseline a little bit. And obviously it's his first game. Okay.
But he's 23 though. He's not young either.
Right. So I think I'm with you. Maybe if he was a rookie on the title team, you could see that path. But now where there's not a whole lot of shot creation on the roster outside of Tatum and Peyton Pritchard. And, he helps you in the possession maxing, create turnovers, get out in transition world. But to be on the floor, I feel like if you're not, because think of how much teams didn't even really guard Ugo early.
Oh, yeah.
NBA teams just are not going to give a shit if you make an occasional three. And I just think of the spacing, if he's on the floor with Tatum, let's say, or George, there's just going to be much less room for everybody else to operate until he can at least pose a smidget of offensive threat. I think we're seeing the days of defensive specialists with zero offensive game. that player is becoming extinct in today's, and like even someone like Davion Mitchell turned himself into a 3-point shooter. You just need something to alleviate the pressure. And I got no sort of feeling like yesterday that he has any sort of self-creation or off-ball shooting. I don't even think he took a jumper in that entire game, if I remember correctly. So
I think, and like looking at some of the scouting stuff for him offensively, where he can be useful, he's like a good screen setter and a good passer and IQ guy. And this environment and this specific Celtics summer league team, where there's not a lot of other ball handlers and like the shooting across the roster is pretty much non-existent as well, it's going to make it look worse. So like when I envision him like sprinting down and setting some of those like flare screens in the half, like in semi-transition, the Celtics love to set that allow to spring shooters free, like on the wings. I can see that. But like where if his man's sagging off him, he can come up and set screens and someone can shoot a pull-up three. It's like, who on this team is shooting a pull-up three?
You want to know? You want to know who it kind of reminds me of? Javonte Green. Javonte Green. Do you remember when he was his first few years on the Celtics? He shot like 27% from three. He was a super athlete, super energy, but he just could not shoot. He developed and turned himself. He had to create an offensive skill. Now I think he's living like in the mid 30s as a 3-point shooter, and it's allowed him to survive. I think it's going to be the same thing. Like, he'll be a 27% 3-point shooter now, but if you can just figure out one way to make him a slightly below league average, I think that's how you get the most of his skill set and the things he does well, the athleticism, the defense, the transition. Like, that just feels like early Javonte Green to me.
Here's the problem. If Dylan Mitchell had a full season on like 150 attempts where he shot 27% from three, like Javonte did with us, that would be a massive, 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 massive improvement from where he's at right now. He shot like 3% from
I know,
three
like
in
6%.
college.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Like getting to 27% feels honestly unobtainable for him. And that's the problem, right? When you got a guy who shoots 27, 30%, it's like, okay, that's bad. And you're not going to get guarded, but at least there's a world where it gets to, it happens a lot where guys like Javonte figure it out a little bit. Like
6%, little different.
Yeah, it's a long ways, man.
I'm always stunned at how someone can play so much basketball and be that bad at shooting. Like, are you 6% at rec league on, like
I don't take threes, brother. Yeah.
But it is interesting because you're thinking like high level D1 player, like you're just used to those guys being awesome at everything.
Like how many shots has he shot in his life? And he's still like, you know what I mean?
Not a lot. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Not in
just
game.
Like by being around basketball for the entirety of your life. It's like the Thompson twins. I'm kind of just blown away because like people that put in a lot of work that still can't shoot. I guess it's just a.
I mean, look at Mitchell Robinson from the line. Like, sometimes that's just the basketball god. Like when you're they ran out of VC. It's like you're doing the levels and you're building your player. You have to sacrifice something. For him, it just happens to be every single offensive category. So, what are you going to do?
That's tough. Yeah. Of the draft picks that the Celtics made over the last couple of seasons, the two that like I don't really feel as if I see much of a vision or path for is Max Schurger and Mitchell as of right now. And again, there's one game for Mitchell in Summer League, so I don't want to. But if I could,
that's because Schurger just might have gotten his chain stolen by Tanjay. So it's like,
okay, well, that's the next place to go is Tanjay, who I saw in game 82 in the last incredible moment of the Celtics season, really, I guess.
Some might argue that is the reason why that game is the reason Jaylen Brown is no longer a Celtic, if you wanted to go the butterfly effect, because winning that game 82 is what penciled them into ending up with Philly. So you never know.
Thank you. Yeah. Shout out John Tanji. So he was, he's good. I don't know. There's not really room for him. Like, okay, we got another wing that can kind of do a little bit of everything, but I do like the way that he plays. He can shoot it. Obviously he's athletic. He's long. But where does he fit in? It's okay. You got Ugo, Walsh, Baylor, Ron Harper Jr., Tatum's obviously there. Hauser's still here. Where
I think he fits in the two-way game 82
spot.
type player. You know what I mean? Like if someone gets hurt, kind of like, the oh my God, I can't believe I'm like not the dude from Arkansas, freaking
isn't that Jordan Walsh?
Oh, no, the guard. Fuck.
The guard. Why can't I remember? He's on Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, JD Davidson.
JD Davidson. Yes, thank you.
He's like
it was Alabama.
Alabama, that's right.
I knew what you meant.
But he's like, that's the type of, because as unbelievable as he was in that second half with his shooting, that steal and dunk was crazy. Like you watch him, he doesn't really blow by his defender all that much, even at this level. So it's like, who are you really? It's not like you can rely on him as like a on-ball scorer for the most part on heavy, any sort of heavy role at the NBA level. But I do think there's something there to where he's warranted a two-way spot. I feel like I trust his ability more than Shulga in that role at the NBA level. And I just think this team is going to need bench shooting. I just think
why is Shulga not here?
Isn't he gone?
I don't think he's on
he's out
on a two-way anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was gone. Yeah.
I think they released he's on somebody else's summer league roster. Okay. I feel like someone else picked him up. Yeah.
All right, because they could low-key use Max Shulga on this team,
dude.
But they did. They
needed Max Shulga. Yeah, for real. So Tanji was awesome at Wisconsin on the ball, but he played bully ball. Like because he's a sturdy ass dude, man.
Yeah,
like low center of gravity for being 6'5", like big shoulders. So he would get into the paint and just like knock people around and finish with floaters or at the rim. And he
tried that yesterday. That's like all of his drives were just putting his head down, getting into the paint, trying to create it with the shoulder bump, and there wasn't that separation after that initial punch.
It's one thing to do it against Iowa. It's a different to do it against like guys who are flirting with the NBA, right?
Yeah.
So he was not like an incredible shooter in college. So the fact that he's turned himself, I think he shot like 38% his last year at Wisconsin, something like that. The fact that he's like seems to be a real shooter has kind of turned me into someone who thinks he's interesting. But when we first signed him, I was like, what is the point of like an on the dribble kind of score first guy? But if he can be like a wing shooter at 6'5" with that build, there's something interesting there.
Is it noticeable to you that they released him, but he still chose to come back for the summer league?
Yeah, I think it kind of speaks. I feel like that happens a lot with the C's where we just like get guys like look at Delano Banton's been like back in a way like 3 different times. I think guys trust our player development. And I think when they're here, even if they're here for a short period of time, we treat them like they're part of the team and try to develop them like they're part of the team. So I think dudes are appreciative of that. I was watching Tanji's defense really closely. I thought his on-ball defense was fine, like pretty good at times. Off-ball was like, yeah, he gets beat because he can't move his feet. He's not quick. He's got like no quick twitch ability. And probably the biggest issue I have with taking up a two-way with him, he's 25 years old.
He kind of reminds me of like Desmond Bain without the jumper or like the shooting, just like his build of like a short, stocky guy who just tries to bulldoze you off the dribble, who can maybe, hit an occasional catch and shoot three. But it's like he's like a thick little Mighty Mouse type player.
He is very similar.
I appreciate John Tanji. I think that's a name that's going to be a good pull in a full years. Like
a random like
game 82,
like Malik Fit.
And Malik Fit. Nice. The celebration god. JD Davidson. Like, and I think there is value just to having guys on your G League team that are good. I think that's good for development and like the overall infrastructure
100%.
of the team. But so the two ways right now would be Amari has one, and then
I think there's two up for grabs. Also,
who we were giving him to, right? As it stands today, Tanji and Mitchell. Who's on? Is he getting a shout from RJ in the chat?
Have they? Did they give Mitchell the two-way, or did they do the Dylan or the Jordan Walsh?
I don't know if they've given him anything.
Exemption.
I'm not sure.
Confirmed.
Dude,
I do
Uzon
not
doesn't
see-
even come up on the NBA's website.
Well, I was gonna say he's not even in
I was gonna say I'm going to.
So my guess, you know what? If looking at it, they're so. Well, I'm trying to think. Does the new second round exemption count against your cap when it's guaranteed or not? Because if it does, then he's definitely getting the 2-way because they're like 500 grand under the.
Yeah, I think that's probably why.
Okay, so if it does count, then he's gonna get a 2-way.
Yeah, well, but he hasn't yet. Got it. So
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
This is dumb. This is fucking dumb.
Let's go.
But he is all over. Dylan Mitchell is all over the Celtics like social medias. Like they're doing tons of videos with him and Sanak, which makes me think he's gonna get a contract. Because wouldn't it be weird to have him everywhere and then to cut him?
And if you remember when Brad was talking about doing his presser and the second round picks, he's like, sometimes second round picks they're Fugazi, but sometimes you use them to land a Walsh or a Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a minute.
I thought that was just the high level rage baiting. Like that's incredible stuff. We just traded Jaylen Brown for Jordan Walsh and Dylan Mitchell. Awesome, Brad.
But to Spoonie's point, if they're promoting them and they're mentioning them by, like how come he didn't mention, Amari Williams was a second round pick? Or, any of the fact that he called them out, I don't know. You could just, we'll see in 5 days, basically, what type of deal he gets.
All right. Any last summer league thoughts before we ask Greenie about his overall emotional state, Spoonie?
No, I love summer league. I'm so glad it's here. I can't wait for the next game. That's all I got.
Yeah, tomorrow, 7 a.m. for
They
me.
played 12th and 13th. 12th and 13th.
Got a back-to-back. Ice up, Ugo. All right.
That's what I mean. Ugo, like someone's not going to play in both of them, and I hope it's not Ugo. So
ridiculous. All right, Greenie. It's been however many days since the Jaylen trade.
10 days, 13 hours, 47 seconds. And
I think I've done a pretty good job personally of kind of ignoring the emotional side of things as best as I can and trying to just look at it analytically. And I've gotten to a point where I understand it and I feel good about the direction of the team. That being said, I saw a video of Jaylen Brown taking a photo holding a Sixers jersey next to Nick Nurse and Mike Gansey, and I almost pooped and vomited at the same time. So where are you?
So I don't know all the stages of grief off the top of my head, but I'm somewhere down the list, right?
Bargaining.
I think maybe bargaining.
Bargaining.
It's one of those situations where, it's such a polarizing player in terms of like, it rips your heart out, the fact that he's not a Celtic, right? But you can also, I think when you look at everything in totality, in terms of the money situation, and I went back to, when you look at how all these champions are being built, they all play in this new CBA world. They all have different play style, right? The Celtics play different from the Thunder, who play different from the Knicks. But what all three of those champions have in common is they were elite defensively, they were efficient offensively, they took care of the basketball, and they dominated the offensive glass.
And they're deep.
And they had the depth, right? So if we are now because I think a lot of where the emotions came from is like, we're coming off this 24 title that was just 2 years ago. Like, how could this happen? But a lot of those feelings and emotions are based off a roster and a team construct that just cannot exist.
Correct.
So you have to evaluate and judge things from the start of the new CBA world to now. So to build, if you look at how all the champions are being built, you have that 3 foundational core principles of maximizing your possessions. So now you look at, okay, a majority of Jaylen's shot diet comes from an inefficient zone in the mid-range, which is highly volatile. He does not help you in your turnover suppression. In fact, he's one of the biggest culprits of it. defensively, we all know what it is off ball. We can see the regression on ball at times. So then you have to factor in the money aspect from it. And you say, okay, if we now live in a world where we're no longer going to have these 35% cap hit players, or, you now need to be worried about his pending extension. I think this is where it goes back to sort of what I was saying earlier, where last year confirmed the approach and confirmed the style. So it does not surprise me that Brad looks at it like, okay, we have that singular star in Tatum. We've adapted the roster to fully dive into this possession maxing, low turnover suppression type style. We now need to get out of this deal. And while I think it was about the extension, obviously, I also think it was about the current dollars and the current 57 million in cap hit. Because now you look at it and you say, okay, Paul George, not as good of an individual player, but if we're only focusing on the things of like defense, off-ball shooting, turnover suppression, those are how you say to yourself from a basketball standpoint, this is now how it works. The counter argument to all that is, what if last year was your best case scenario and you get regression from, like, progress isn't always linear. So like, what if Baylor doesn't take that step? What if Walls, like, if the ancillary pieces don't continue to push forward? Because the Celtics enter the playoffs with the same problems and the same issues with this roster that they just had against Philly, right? Especially if Derek White can't be a number two, right? If that's what last year told us, is that he can't be a number two, and now your current number two is Paul George, who might only play 50 or something games, there's a world where, you don't have this upward progression compared to last year. But when it comes to the trade itself, when you look at it like, okay, in the new CBA world, you have to align your roster with depth and you have to be dominant in those possession reliant areas. You can talk yourself into, okay, we can't pay a 35% cap hit to a player that's detrimental in a lot of respects to those areas. He's great in others, but if the path forward is offensive rebounding, defense, efficiency, and turnovers, like, those are all of his weak points. And that's why when they're looking at it, I think they look at it and say, is he the 96th best player in the NBA due to the advanced analytics? No, but the turnover percentage is real. The off-ball defense issues are real. So I think they look at it like, in 2024, you could build a roster to hide those limitations. In 2026, you now no longer can really do that. So you have to, it's like you have to cut out the tumor as opposed to just treating the symptoms. And that's what makes it so painful, because it's so fresh, and the carry job that he just did last year was so fresh in our mind. But that's because a lot of people looked at it as confirmation that he could be a second All-NBA number one option, when in reality, the confirmation was the formula for how the Celtics win exists. Now we have to remove the part that hinders that formula.
Or
well said, Greenie.
Yeah, very well said. You heard it here first. Barstool Greenie thinks Jaylen Brown is a king.
No. But that's the world we live in. But it's like,
but it's all tied to the cap situation. If the CBA never, that's the thing. All of this is like, that would have been fine if not for the new CBA.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Jake, I feel like you absolutely highlighted this more than anyone else and have absolutely nailed the position the Celtics were in. The second that deadline comes up and we don't give them the extension, I think this goes so sideways, even worse. That it clearly was already going sideways, right?
Yeah.
Like, clearly somebody was pissed off about the things Jaylen was saying. And then once that deadline hits and we don't give him the extension, like, it's going to be a disaster really quick. So we had to move him early. And I feel like
now, do you feel the same way? Do you feel the same way about Peyton Pritchard's extension eligibility? That he has 2 years left.
I'll be stunned if he doesn't sign the 3 for $67 million extension.
Or but what if, like, do you feel like they have the same pressure to offer him his extension.
No.
Well,
He's paid
his
Pritchard.
max. The max we can give Pritchard is
67.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a great deal.
yeah, that would be an awesome contract for us.
And for him too.
And for him, right? So like we're in a position where it's like we're limited in how much we can offer him and what we can offer him. We're like, this is the best we can do, Pritchard, but we can get it signed today. So if you blow your knee out, you're good for life, right? Whereas Jalen, we were going to sign him to I think it was like $80 million in his age 35 season or something like that. Like that's more money in one season than Pritchard's total contract.
You can't be getting, and like the parts of again, Jaylen Brown, great player, we all agree, but you can't be making top 3-5 money when you're top 15.
17th, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the one part
biggest
of
problem. Yeah.
That was the one part of Brad's presser that I thought he was definitely full of shit. Is it's not you can no longer have 235% cap hits. It's we don't want to have Jaylen Brown be our second 35. Like I think that's
you can do it if it's Giannis or Jokic or
while the money is important, I do think we need to accept that Brad Stevens wanted out of Jaylen Brown the basketball side just as much as he did not want to give him that extension because, like you could always give it to him and then deal with it later like they did with the Supermax if he felt that the basketball side warranted it. That's what's driving this conversation is, if Jokic hits the market this summer, you're telling me Brad isn't going to offer him a max deal because
call up aspiration.
Right? Like, so that part I feel like was not the whole truth. The whole truth is you can do it, but you can't do it if your second guy is Jaylen Brown, apparently. That's the truth of the matter.
And Greenie, the part that I've been trying to hammer home is that nobody in the world knows Jaylen Brown better than Brad Stevens, the basketball player. Between coaching him and being the GM, he's seen every second of Jaylen Brown's career and probably seen every second multiple times. I saw a video of the OG Anunoby game winner in the bubble. In game 3 of the
off ball help. Same thing with Harden in the corner. Like there's plenty of examples.
So what happens? Here's the timeline. Brad Stevens gets the basketball operations job. He doesn't try and trade Jalen immediately. But he hires Udoka. They make the finals, best season of the Jays era, and he immediately tries to trade Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant. And it doesn't go through. And
did he or did Ime? Did he try to trade him or did Ime try to make that trade happen? I feel like that was more Ime pushing it out than.
Well, there was an offer that was made, and Brad was the one making the offer. I don't know. I think Brad, there was a part of him that either saw this coming and being like, we're gonna have to offer him the max because otherwise he's gonna be mad, and then it's gonna turn into a tricky situation. So he tried to get ahead of it before, and then was like, I think we're gonna have a better chance.
So do you think Philly offers it in 2 weeks?
No, they can't. So
they
now
can't?
that he's been traded, they can't offer it until next offseason.
Next offseason. Because that's the thing. Like,
damn it, I was so excited for that day.
I know. But hey, still have 2 years left. Like that's all.
But also, you could have the same would have been true for the Celtics. If they didn't offer it this summer, they could have offered it. It wasn't like this was their only chance to do it.
No.
Jalen was not letting that shit happen. Yeah. There's no way he would have been cool with us not offering it.
It's just sad. It just makes you sad that, you got a 100th percentile return on these two top 3 picks. Yep. Everything you dream of happening happened. And you just it's financially and basketball building wise just crippling you to keep it. And that's just, I feel like when they offer this, this is not something that I feel like Brad in the front office was not ready for. Like the second they if they didn't have to offer the Supermax in 23, they wouldn't have. They just didn't have the leverage. Yeah. So, they got out leveraged, but my guess is the second they sent it over, they said, we're trading him before we get to the back half of this deal. We're doing it now. Let's hope we win one. And then they did. So now you're kind of like, okay, at least we got one. But it's because the biggest thing that just was so confusing of this whole ordeal was I can't just suddenly think Brad Stevens is a moron. Like
that's like if you thought 2 weeks ago that he's a genius, then he didn't stop being a genius on the day he traded Jaylen Brown.
Right. Like there's a reason he didn't go all in on Giannis. Like there's a reason why, they're doing this. And even though logically it didn't make sense because you're like, if you were going to trade him, why not just pay more? But I think this is sort of tied to where he feels slighted or jaded. I think I'm of the belief they told him about the Giannis trade and he's like, yeah, it's Giannis,
Sure,
duh.
Yeah.
But they did not tell him we're actually trading you no matter what because we don't want you on the team anymore. And that's where the flip happened. Because when you watched his stream, he kind of alluded to like, yeah, man, I get it. It's Giannis. I can understand being in that trade. But the fact that he was still being floated out tells you that maybe they weren't really honest in terms of we want out of the basketball side just as much as we don't want to offer you the extension. And that's where I think the ill feelings can be developed.
Yeah. And either Brad didn't want to tell him that or had a hard time telling, because how do you tell Jaylen that? It's like, we just don't think you're good enough basically on this contract. And we're
because when you think about it, like I believe him when they're like, we were in communication with his agent before he left. Like I believe all that. So I don't believe that like they just went rogue. I just think they didn't tell him the whole truth. It's like they lied by omission as opposed to just like telling him, oh no, we're giving you the extension. Oh, actually you traded me. It wasn't that sort of backstabbing. It was dancing around the bigger issue that they just didn't want him on the team anymore at his current salary and at his current skill set.
Yeah. All right.
And it sucks. And it just sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Can I just say, like, there's some talk about like who's our second option in the chat, and people are like saying, "Oh, it's probably Pritchard. That sucks. We're fucked." Pritchard and Tatum on the court in the playoffs without Jaylen Brown last year, plus 21 with a 144 offensive rating. Pritchard and Brown without Tatum minus. Yeah,
I get that, Spoonie.
Minus
but
15
I've
with a 97.8 offensive rating without.
But I've seen him be completely neutralized with bigger physical backcourts and perimeter defenses.
Yeah, but I'm saying the theory worked.
I know.
And then the bigger point,
Brown,
the bigger part, or another part of this is like, yeah, we lost in the first round this year and we lost in the second round last year. So it feels like people are like, we broke up this dynasty
championship team. Yeah,
we sucked again in the playoffs.
But I don't think. But I just to this day I don't believe that they lost those series because their core foundation was Tatum and Brown. I do not think that was the underlying root. Like I'm watching Derek White shoot 15% from the floor.
There's no doubt.
I'm sorry.
There's lots of blame to go around. I think if you're going to be making top 3 to 5 money, then you have to close out the 3-1 series as the guy that's top 3 to.
But let me ask you this. If they made all the other moves and still had Jaylen, so they signed Mitchell Robinson, they signed Conley, they drafted who they drafted. They just had Jaylen instead of Paul George. We would all feel like they addressed their flaws from last year and that they had every bit of a chance to compete and win the championship. Now
I was ready to move on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I said it.
I think that they would be, but they would be title East favorites or tied for, but their East favorites are tied for without Jaylen.
But I think a lot of that is I don't know. I just feel like the Celtics always get over
an extra boost,
odd base. There's just something no matter what they do, they're always like third in the NBA in odds. And I get that they've been Jason
the top
Tatum
2
still
seed.
exists. I know, but I just feel like it's just always like juiced up a little bit.
The odds believe in Sheets FC, and I guess to your point, Spoonie, about the option thing, I think when Tatum's on the court, it's Tatum's running the offense. Tatum's off the court. We're running possessions, maxing Missoula ball. It's defense, it's rebounding, it's shooting, and those are the ways we win the minutes with Tatum off the court because that was part of this too. It's like if you're going to be paid top 5 money, you have to be able to win the non-Tatum minutes or play them even when you're on the court. And it's never been the case.
Problem with that. But here's the problem with that. If we looked at last year, right? you look at, I know the on-offs are like everybody's porn. Like everyone loves to just pleasure themselves on off.
Oh, we love we got to point out that they're really good with Jalen on. But what happened?
But with Jalen on and Tatum off, right? You look at that on off, it's like a -18. A lot of that, it's like -18.6. A lot of that was the Derek minutes, because when you look at Jalen on with Tatum and Derek off, they were like +8.5 in the playoffs, if I remember correctly, during the year.
Correct. 21 minutes plus 9.5 with Jalen by himself. No Derek. Jalen and Derek were
so how much of
that -28.
So how much of that was Derek's just
that's fair point.
Derek deserves a ton of blame.
Yeah. So I think we had him number one on the blame pie after the series.
So I'm just saying, in terms of this new post Jalen world, right? If he's this
trade Derek White, I get it, Greenie.
I'm just saying, like, if he's this net negative player, and this is how you win the Tatum minutes, not really. If
we're not saying he's net negative, yeah.
But but if that's like the narrative, and that's what people are saying, I'm just looking at it like, if Derek White or Peyton Pritchard can't provide that ancillary scoring, you're not going to win the Tatum minutes, and they're going to be probably even worse.
100%. I do have to go. I got to get out.
Yeah, we got to go.
We cut it off here.
We'll be here all night. We'll talk to you again, I think, through towards the back end of Summer League. Or
whatever.
But, this has been wonderful and painful, as it tends to be at this part of the year over the last couple of seasons, unfortunately. But it always makes the pain at least 1% less pain.
Yep.
So thank you for being here. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate you. Till next time, go Celtics.